special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Storehouse Media Group podcast with our host, Sherry. Sherry from Storehouse Media Group. Sherry, how are you? We're going to talk about going ahead and DIYing a book. There are lots of people out there doing this and conversations. How is the best way you can DIY your book to make it the quality of a publisher? How much time does it take? What kind of resources do you need to then make it a best-selling book, potentially? Make it a book that is considered one of the top-notch books. Can it be done?
Oh, it can be. It really can be. I mean, I think 50 Shades of Grey started off as self-published, right? And then it got moved up and it got picked up. But yeah, it can, but you cannot not afford to have it, just to cut corners and do things like editing, skip that process. Oh, I've heard, oh, my cousin is really good in English in high school and she's going to edit my book. Or, just there's all kinds of stories I hear people are going to edit a book. And I'm like, you need a professional book editor. It's different if you're a book editor than it is on really just about anything, because you have to know those elements of a book. The character arcs, the story arcs, the settings, the dialogue, all of that stuff. So my suggestion is, if you're going to write a book, do your due diligence. Look for an editor who has good reviews and, talk to them. You two may not be a fit, and that's okay. But go with those who have a reputation. And yes, experience does matter, because when you're an editor, you've seen so many things and you're so used to seeing these errors or complications that you just kind of zip through them. When I first started editing, it took me a lot longer because I was new to it. And I was constantly looking up, rules in the Chicago Manual of Style, which is like the publishing Bible of the publishing industry, editing Bible. So get an editor, make sure you do your due diligence. Cheapest is not always the best. I've learned that the hard way. I hire editors myself to work with me, and I would pay the editors what they're worth, simply
Mm,
because I want quality.
that's so great, because if it looks terrible, you're in trouble. What else
You
do you
are.
need? You need an editor. What else?
Well, then you need an editor, and then you need to look at a publisher. Again, due diligence. There's a lot of people out there touting, I'm a publisher. Um, I know of some that they look good, they sound good, but they don't pass the sniff test. And people get very upset and they give people very bad experiences in the publishing industry. So therefore, make sure you do your due diligence on publishing, meet with them, make sure you can talk to them. You can have a conversation, that they're not somewhere in a different time zone, like 12 hours away. You want to be able to have a conversation. I've done it both ways, working with people where I've been able to talk to the client, and it makes such a world of difference having that ability to talk to a client, and
Okay.
vice versa.
That makes complete sense. Let's move forward even further. You talked about the publishing end of things. Well, let's talk about putting it all together, hiring a publisher. But what if you're doing it more yourself? You need a great cover design, right?
You
Without a good
do.
cover design, you don't have a good cover of your book. No one's going to read it.
That's right. They say, don't judge a book by people don't judge a book by its cover. They do. They really do. So you want to have a dynamic cover. You don't want it busy. You don't want it gaudy, unless that's your book. But your cover is really supposed to represent the mood, the tone, the theme of that book. If it's a serious book, you want a serious cover. If it's a fun book, you want a fun cover. And then you got to look at titles. Like, the best titles, they say, are like 2 to 3 words, and then you have a longer subtitle. But I've seen it where it's longer titles and shorter subtitles. I've seen that. But that's what's going to catch readers when you have it out in the marketplace. I can't tell you which is going to catch them. I think it's the reader, the potential reader, if it's the title or if it's the cover. So you want to have that captivating title, and there's a way to get it, and then you want to have that wonderful, captivating, oh my gosh, cover that grabs people's eye. They're standing in line at the grocery store and they have books, and they walk by it and they're like, ooh, that looks interesting. I don't know if you've ever done that. I have. And I'll stop merely because a cover caught my eye and it'll make me look at it, or maybe a title, so those are going to be your two big ones when you're putting together your book.
What about formatting?
Formatting is so important. So important. I've seen books that the formatting is just it's just the worst, and you're like, how can a publisher put that out? So you won't neat, you won't clean, you won't consistent all the way through, but you won't professional, because just like editing, now they're on the inside of the book. They've spent money on your book, they've invested in your book. Let them know that you've invested in it too, and get somebody who knows how to format a book, who knows the ins and outs and the idiosyncrasies of publishing and printing, and that when they get in there, it's clean aesthetically, it's laid out well, it's consistent, and it's been edited. That's going to tell your reader so much, and that's going to build up credibility with your reader so much beyond the content.
What about ISBN?
ISBNs, you want to do that. ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. So if you want to sell your book out in the marketplace, you got to have an ISBN. That is like the Social Security number. It's a unique identifier for each book, each format too. If it's a paperback, it's got a different ISBN than the ebook. But you need to have that, and unlike your Social Security number, you want everybody to have that ISBN, because that's what they can buy your book off of.
Yeah. So basically that's the big thing that people need to look for, is all those different things. Anything else you're missing before you publish a book?
Library of Congress, the LCCN, Library of Congress control number. And that is actually registering it with the Library of Congress. And it's free. You just have to send them a copy of your book, the best format. Like if you did a paperback and a hardcover, they want the hardcover. But you want that because that gets it into libraries and makes it easier to get into libraries that way. So again, it's a free number. You just have to send a book to the Library of Congress.
Okay. Best place to check you out is to go to storehousemediagroup.com right now and schedule a call with Sherry today. And there's so many different things I got from today, and I appreciate it, Sherry, and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Neil.
All right, you're listening and watching the Neil Haley Show and special simulcast of the Storehouse Media Group podcast.